Hello everybody and welcome back to LRN. Today for the Imola race day. If you didn't catch the previous episode, as you can see on screen, with a bit of a recap, we came 14th in the sprint race, so we get to start 14th on the grid today. And we took home driver of the day in the sprint race, so really good result. Obviously the qualifying itself wasn't too good, but to make up a few positions starting from 14th, it gives us a really good opportunity to do something different in the race and try and move forward and maybe get ourselves into the points. Another good result for Ferrari, starting 1-2 and the Mercedes behind. So again, we see the Red Bull struggling. They had a really bad day in the sprint race. They're going to be starting 13th and 18th, and we had a few DNFs as well, which is why there's a few people down at the bottom, including Max Verstappen. So that's going to be really interesting as we progress through the race to see how the Red Bulls can get back into the fight. But now we're going to go right ahead and get into race day.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola, featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit, and it's only DRS zone. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Hamilton, Mick Schumacher and Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Bottas, Norris and Yuki Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Gasly, Sergio Perez, Alexander, Joe, Albon, Kevin Magnussen and Sebastian Vettel, Stroll, Latifi, Verstappen and Richard Verschoor. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It will keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
So here we go then into the race. So I'm thinking today, I think the strategy is going to be the most important thing to focus on in the Imola Grand Prix. That's why we're starting 14th, but I want to try and do something different. We've gone with the same strategy in the previous races as the other cars are doing, and it hasn't really boded out that well for us. We've obviously made positions up through the race, certainly quicker race pace than we've had in qualifying, but it just hasn't taken us far up the grid as we would like. So today we're going to go for an interesting one, and we're going to go on the hard tyres to start the race. And my hope now is, given the volume of safety cars we've been seeing in the previous races, that we'll have a safety car opportunity later in the race that's going to give us an opportunity to jump up a load of positions and then pit late onto the soft tyre. That will give us a really good opportunity to make some overtakes again at the end. Maybe if that's going to be what's the difference between us getting in the points, make some overtakes on that soft tyre, get ourselves into the points at the end of the race on the faster tyre. Hopefully there'll be a VSC or a safety car opportunity to come in and get a free pit stop off of the hard tyres as well, because that would be absolutely fantastic if we could do that, or if that could happen for us. It would really make a huge difference to the race, and that's what we're going to gamble on, similar to what we saw Russell do earlier in the season at Miami. So we're going to go long on the hards, hope for the best, wait for that opportunity, and we're going to come in when it presents itself. And if it all goes well, we should be around the points at the end of the race. So here we go then, lining up on the grid, trying to get an optimal grid slot here in the formation lap. I've only got good so far, and it's good again though, so still not quite getting the optimal. A little bit more practice needed on those to get a bit closer and get that optimal start, but we're going to start here. We've got Perez in front of us, we've got Guan Yu Zhou, who's been a thorn on our side this season, right behind us, Albon behind that, so we need to beat Albon in the Williams today. That's a must as we go to 5 red lights and away we go. So it's a decent start here, but we see Perez moving away as expected, but we've already got Guan Yu Zhou going past us, so it's not quite as good as I was hoping. We've got the ERS on, trying to get the power down. Magnussen going through on us as well, remembering we're on the hard tyre, everyone else is running the medium. We're going to go around the outside of Magnussen, get that move done on him hopefully, but he comes back on our left hand side, around the inside of the left hander. But again, ERS going to use it to try and get this position back on Magnussen. We will be fighting him for this race, so it is important to keep this position and keep people behind us as much as we can. And we've got that position back on Magnussen, which is good. So right back up behind Perez, who's actually fallen behind Guan Yu Zhou. So Guan Yu Zhou's had a fantastic start to this race, so that's brilliant for him. As we see Magnussen now coming back on our left hand side, trying to go down the inside of the left hand, and we've also got Albon diving on the inside of us behind, but I think we're just about to keep this position from him. But no, he goes down the left hand side, he's got the power on the exit, and we're going to have to slot in behind Albon now, which is really disappointing start to the race. I know we're on the hard tyre, but we certainly want to be doing better than that. As we see Daniel Ricciardo now looking to make a move on his teammate through the chicane, just pushing Norris out of the way there, and still behind him, but he looks to have got the better exit and better speed down the hill. So is he going to get this move done on Lando Norris? Certainly an interesting battle this season on the game, certainly closer, I think. Obviously Lando Norris has had the better of it this season, but Ricciardo putting in a much better showing than he might be doing in real life. But here we go then, Ricciardo flying down the left hand side of Norris here. Obviously they're in equal machinery, and we can also see the Gasly behind and Perez right behind them as well, looking to make moves. So who's going to win out here? We're on board now with Gasly as Perez dives down the inside of the McLarens, hits it, and Gasly into the back of Perez. We've got cars all over the place here, and we can see that we actually come through and we get moves on Gasly and Magnussen, who get caught up in that issue. And already now we've got a VSC deployed this race. Now this is too early for us to come in and make a change. Obviously we're still only on lap 2, but what an opportunity, what a brilliant move there for us to get past Gasly and Magnussen. Now an opportunity that's presented itself, and we've taken that with both hands. So we're now up to 15th in this race, obviously still on the hard tyre and doing well. So we've moved up now to lap 4. The safety car, the VSC, had ended, and we're on board with Kevin Magnussen now looking to make a move on us, and he moves past up to 15th. We are struggling, as I say, on this hard tyre to keep the cars behind, but we are still in a really good position that if there's a safety car later in the race, we're well in within the time slots we need. There's really small gaps between each car, so if you think about the length of a pit stop, we're still in with a really good chance here as we progress through the race. As we're on board with Mick Schumacher now, he's in 6th place, having another fantastic race as part of another awesome season for Mick Schumacher, as he looks to go up the side of Fernando Alonso and up into 5th place. As a Haas of Mick Schumacher up into 5th, and if looking at Kevin Magnussen down to 15th, that shows you just how good Mick Schumacher's been. His focus must be on fire this season, because he has been absolutely brilliant. As we're now on board with Lance Stroll looking to make a move on his more experienced teammate Sebastian Vettel around the outside of the sweeping right-handers, and he looks to have got that move done and up into 17th place. That's a good move from Lance Stroll there. He's really doing well in the Aston Martin. As Vettel though looks to make a dive into the chicane, similar to the Norris and Ricciardo fight here, as Vettel seems to have got the better exit. He's moved to cut off Stroll from making a move back at him, but obviously Stroll's got the slipstream down the hill, going to look to make a move around the outside here into the left-hander. Can he hold the speed around the outside? He can. He looks to have got that move, but I'm sure Vettel's going to be still there on the inside. You can see him in the mirror. He's still right there, and these guys are behind us, so the more they fight, the more it suits our race as we look to build a gap to these guys behind and stay out of that DRS zone. As we've currently got a 2.2 second gap, but Max Verstappen now coming up behind both the Aston Martins and looking to make a move on both of them as he goes around the outside of Lance Stroll, but he can't quite get that move done on this occasion, so he'll have to bide his time and wait for his next opportunity, which we see here coming up the hill into the left-hander. He's going to go down the inside now of Lance Stroll. Can he get the moves to stick on this occasion and get up to P18? Not quite. Maybe he can make a move on the outside here. He can. The Lance Stroll just seemed to completely back out of it there. So Verstappen gets the move done, and he'll be chasing down Vettel now on the main straight. So can he get, I think he'll have DRS open here, going down the left hand side, down the main straight. Obviously quicker machinery of Max Verstappen. I don't think he's got any permanent damage from the small incident we saw him have previously. So he gets that move and he's up to P17, and I think he's going to be flying through the field, and I fully suspect he's going to be on the back of us in no time. As we see here on the end of lap 7 now, he is on the back of us looking to make a move up to P16. We just do not have the pace to fight him at this stage of the race on the harder tyres, and he's obviously got DRS open and a much more powerful car, more powerful engine. The powertrain in that Red Bull is better than the Renault in ours as well, and we are really lacking in the engine power department. So he fires past us and we're going to follow him through, but we're going to play the long game, so not too worried as things stand. As we move on to George Russell now, George Russell chasing after Lewis Hamilton. The Mercedes having a really good race here today. Can't compete with the Ferraris, but third and fourth, best of the rest at the moment. As Russell goes around the outside of Hamilton, looking to get to the inside of the right-hander, and he's got that move done on Lewis Hamilton. So George Russell now up to third place in the podium positions, but as we move to Hamilton, he'll be looking to get that position back. And we move back to Max Verstappen now, up into 16th and right on the back of Nicholas Latifi, making really swift process through here. Is he going to make a dive bomb into the chicane? He is, straight over the bumps there. That can't have left Latifi any room at all. Has Latifi got any damage from that happening? I'm not too sure, but that's another move there for Max Verstappen. Moving on board now, lap 10, Esteban Ocon in 7th. He's trying to chase down Fernando Alonso, but he gets it all messed up. I don't know what he's done there, but it looks like he's gone on the power there to try and get out of the spin, and he's just fired himself into the tyre wall, and he's now out of the race, which is going to bring in all of the pit stops now. Everyone's coming in for fresh tyres, and this is going to give us a fantastic opportunity, as we've hoped for, on the hard tyre already, to come past all these people in the pit lane. So what we'll see in a second is us coming along the main straight in P16 as it stands. We're going to move past everyone that's in the pit lane, and we're going to try and fire ourselves. We're coming up behind Russell. Can we get past Russell before the pit line? Not quite. So we're going to have to let Russell back through, but we've just got ourselves up into P4 by running the hard tyre. The safety cars come out at the right time, so we're now in P4, and our strategy at this stage of the race has paid off brilliantly. Obviously everyone else has run onto the hard tyre, but we have to go till lap 32, and I think they will need to potentially pit again off of the hards that they're currently on. So I think we may be in a legitimate P4 depending on how far those other cars can go on the hard tyre. So it could be all out defense now for us, trying to keep these cars behind us, hoping they obviously pit again, so that then when we come to pit, we're not losing any positions, because they'll have to come in as well. So it could all be from now in this point of the race for position, and for us to be fourth in lap 12 is absolutely brilliant. Obviously we know we're going to have to make that stop later on, so we'll see how that pays out. But here we go then, lap 13. We're just trying to hassle George Russell here. Verstappen S, you're not actually allowed to do this anymore in real life, but the game hasn't banned this from happening, so we're doing the Verstappen. We're coming right up alongside Russell here, and we're going to wait for that green light, and we're going to try and jump it. We're going to try and time it to move past it, but we've just missed the green light, so we've got to let Russell back through, but it means we can slot right back straight into a slipstream, follow the Mercedes through, take a middle line through here to stop anyone coming past us, good defensive line, and keep fourth position. So we've also got to be aware that our hard tyres are 13 laps old, and everyone around us is only about 2 laps old from when the safety car came out. So it's really going to have to be good defensive work. We know everyone behind us as well is just in quicker cars. Their powertrains are better than ours, their aerodynamics are better than ours, and their chassis as well. So really important that we drive really well, keep it in the middle, make it as wide as possible to keep them behind. As we see Perez making a move on Fernando Alonso, and it looked like Mick Schumacher getting a bit out of sorts there before the right-hander. And now we're on with Nicholas Latifi in 16th, looking to make a move on Kevin Magnussen, but he's completely got it wrong on the brakes and gone straight into the back of Magnussen there, as you see from the vantage point of Vettel, and that's triggered a whole load more pit stops. I think if we see Leclerc coming in for his pit stop onto the hard tyres, so he didn't pit under the original safety car, and because of that he's come out in 20th place. He didn't take the opportunity under the safety car when it presented himself, and that has fired Leclerc back right down the pack into 20th. So it's going to be really interesting for him, as we had another safety car come out in this race, and once again we're now in P3, but we're hassling Russell again. We're going to try and time it better this time, wait for our moment. He's gone, so we're going to bolt as well, get into the slipstream, get the RS open, and we're actually going to try and make a move now on Russell into P2 on lap 17 of this race. Can we keep this position into the left-hander? This is an absolutely fantastic position to be in. It's so deep into the race. To see us in P2 is just absolutely unexpected, but it just shows how good the strategy call that we made in this race has been, and it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, as we can see Perez and Russell as well fighting in the background. We've actually got Mick Schumacher's come up to 3rd place behind us, so ourselves and Mick Schumacher currently in podium positions. I don't expect that to be the case at the end of the race, but to see us in 2nd with Mick Schumacher in 3rd might be a sign of things to come in the future, should we, once our team improves, sign Mick Schumacher to our team, which at the moment is feeling like the decision I'm going to make, just because of how much his form that he's shown this season is absolutely incredible. But here we go then. So we've got Mick Schumacher chasing us up the hill. He's now going to look to make a move into P2, with Perez and Russell, obviously the quicker cars behind, fighting with each other, giving us an opportunity to get away from them potentially. And Bottas in a really good 6th place, as we see Mick Schumacher now chasing us down the hill. He's going to go down to the inside. We're going to try and carry the speed on the outside. We get it a bit locked up on the brakes, nearly tap his front right wheel there, but we do avoid any contact, which is fine. Oh no, we actually get a warning for contact with Schumacher, but I think it was really, really light touch. I don't think we've got any damage from that one, so we're okay. But Schumacher, with the more powerful Ferrari engine, looking to go on left hand side. We've also got to worry about Perez and Russell behind. They're going to be coming in at a rate of knots, as we now have to move to the inside of Schumacher, maybe get a move down the inside. He gets late on the way, he's off. You can see on the minimap on the left hand side, he's completely done it on the brakes. He has managed to retain his position though, and someone else has gone off, as we see Russell here. We'll go to the replay. We see Schumacher off to the right hand side. He managed to keep it on the track, so he did actually come back on in 6th place. But as we see Russell just off to the right hand side, he gets it all wrong. I don't think he's going to DNF in this race, but he's now got to wait for everyone to go past so he can rejoin safely, and that brings him out behind Lando Norris in P19 and only ahead of Charles Leclerc, as we see Tsunoda crash, just go straight into the side of Mick Schumacher. Mick Schumacher finding himself in the walls, and this has caused a massive pile up. And will it be another safety car in this race? You can see how many people have ghosted here. Absolute chaos with all of these cars behind, as we're now maybe going to have an opportunity to come in and put those medium tyres on ahead of all these cars getting caught up in this issue. So here we go then, we're coming into the pit. We've got Perez coming into the pit behind us. So we are currently actually ahead of Perez in this race, as we are both coming in at the same time. And I think I saw a wing there behind me, so maybe he's coming in to put a fresh wing on the nose as well. So where are we going to come out then as we come out of the pit lane? I can't see anyone else coming down the main straight, so I think we're going to legitimately come out here in P10, which is absolutely brilliant for us. Perez behind us in P11, they've gone for the softs, but I do think running the soft tyre from lap 19 to lap 32 is going to be difficult. So I'm quite happy with our position on the medium tyre. I think that's going to be the better race tyre for the rest of this race, as we try and hassle Norris here on our right hand side as the safety car comes to an end. But he actually cuts straight across us. We have to pull out of it. Does a little bit more nous there from Norris than we saw from Russell when we were hassling him earlier on in the race. But we've got the hammer down now, ERS open. We do have to worry about Perez behind us, and he's on the soft tyres as well. But we're also on the fresh mediums behind Norris, and we're just going to be focused now. How many moves can we make for the rest of this race, and how many points can we get if we can, because we are going to have to defend like crazy. When you look at Perez and Schumacher behind us in 11th and 12th, they're definitely the quicker cars, so we're going to have to be really careful. As we see Max Verstappen here trying to make a move on George Russell, two of the faster cars this season, two of the good performers this season, fighting each other outside of the points with Charles Leclerc as well. So these are three people you'd be expecting to fight for race wins and podiums, and they are fighting currently over P14 in this race, which is absolutely incredible to see. And one of the reasons why we've found ourselves in 10th place in this race is Perez pushes us off there as he looks to make a dive round down the inside. We're going to try and retain this position. Can we retain it into the right hander? We're going to push him out there. I think that was completely fair though. We made no contact with him. We just showed him we were there. He bailed out of it on the left hand side, so we kept that position. As we cut to Pierre Gasly now, he's pulling, as he's gone slow. Is he going to be out of this race? He seems like he's trying to get back into it, but he's going so slow. I have to assume he's going to be the next DNF in this race and our 5th casualty of the Imola race day. So that's not good news for AlphaTauri now, who have both of their drivers out of this race. So that is no good for AlphaTauri, as we see Charles Leclerc now looking to make a move on Russell and Perez. He's coming up behind. Can Leclerc potentially look to make a move on both of them? No, we've got Verstappen coming up on the left hand side. So Verstappen has now moved past Leclerc, and Verstappen will look to make a move on Russell and Perez ahead. Can he dive both of them? He's gone for the move. He's hit Russell on the wheel, and we've seen Leclerc barrel into the side of Verstappen and lose his tyre. So he's gone out, and that's triggered another load of pit stops as we see people on the soft tyre coming in for another set of softs, I would assume, to get them to the end of the race. And as then we move forward, we're up to 9th position as things stand. So this is just playing right into our hands as it is. But we don't have a safety car. So as we see, there was no safety car brought out for that event. So we've got Norris now fighting Albon, and Albon up in 7th is really bad news for us because we need to beat Albon. Albon's already scored points this season, and that's why it's so pivotal for us in the fight against Williams to get some points on the board and get ourselves ahead of Albon. So whatever happens, we need to beat him. We've picked up some damage somewhere on our floor, so we must have gone across a high curb or something that's happened to give us some damage, because we haven't had any specific contact with anyone that I can remember. So it must have been a high curb. Just riding those with the simulation damage, you can pick up damage to the floor really, really easily. So especially with these greater curves around Imola, it's not surprising to see Albon and Norris making contact. Can we make a move on both of them potentially? Not quite, as Norris moved to the right hand side. It put me off making a move, but we're going to go down the inside now of Norris and up into 8th place on lap 28, which is a fantastic result for. He tries to come back on the right hand side, but we do cut him off. We take the racing line. Can we look for a move on Albon at this stage? No, not quite. So we are going to have to bide our time now and sit behind Albon and wait for our moment to get up into potentially 7th place. As Norris now, he's clearly picked up damage from that fight with Alexander Albon, so he's had to pit. And as you can see on the left hand side, we've got a 16.5 second gap to Max Verstappen as we chase down Albon. With only a few laps to go, we're going to be pretty clear to finish in the points with at least 8th position, as we see Fernando Alonso going straight off the road. He's in the gravel. Can he rejoin the track? He's just going to sit there, but he does manage to get back on and recover the 6th place, and you'll see him just down the road in front of us in 6th place. So he wasn't quite caught up enough for us to have an opportunity to gain another position. But here we are then, final lap of the Grand Prix, last opportunity, ERS open, DRS open. Off we go into the left-hander. Can we get the move done on Albon? Yes, we can, but he's going to try and come back on the left-hand side. We move to cut him off. We need to keep this position, and we get the job done as we see Verstappen now peeling off to the left-hand side and DNFing from this race, becoming the 6th casualty of the Imola Grand Prix, as Sainz now at the end of lap 32 comes across for another win this season. Great race for Sainz, with Hamilton coming across the line for P2, but Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu coming home for 3rd and 4th. An incredible result for Alfa Romeo. What a race for them. That is a fantastic result that I'm sure they'll be looking to repeat later in this season, as we saw Danny Ricciardo come home in 5th, Alonso 6th, and here we are then coming across the line for 7th place and a big haul of points in our fight against Aston Martin and Williams this season. So I'm really happy with that. 7th place, absolutely phenomenal. And driver of the day, Richard for sure with driver of the day. So I don't know what he's done. We didn't see much of him today, but driver of the day for Richard for sure. But here we go then. Let's head to the podium.
So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, staying out of trouble was probably the most important factor here. In a race where half the field weren't classified at the checkered flag, we were able to guarantee a good result by basically keeping the car running. With their pace and a decent strategy as well, I don't think the race was ever really in doubt.
Ferrari are at it again. An excellent performance at today's Grand Prix, and they're certainly a team that know what they're doing out there. Let's see how the driver's standings have changed.
So there we have it then. Carlos Sainz coming home first with not just the 25 points for the race, but 33 points with the win for the sprint race as well. Obviously his teammate Charles Leclerc got 7 points in that sprint race, coming back home in second, but did not get any today after that DNF and losing at that wheel from that collision with Kevin Magnussen. So disappointing race for Leclerc, but amazing race for Carlos Sainz. Definitely going to help his championship hopes this season as he continues to impress. Hamilton in the slower Mercedes, again getting another 23 points for himself and Mercedes, with George Russell bringing home 6, so that's a huge result for Mercedes as well. But for ourselves, we know where it counts. We've brought it home, 9th position, 6 points. That will take us ahead of not just Albon but Williams as well, and secure our position ahead of Aston Martin. And we will review the Constructors' Championship in just a moment, but just want to take a second, guys, to say thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. It really helps us out and helps us grow as we go on our journey to 1,000 subscribers. Make sure to like the video as well if you did enjoy it, and check out all the other content on the channel if you do stick around. But here you go then. So confirmation of LRN F1 Racing being on 6 points, 1 point ahead of Williams and 4 points ahead of Aston Martin, which is absolutely fantastic, and takes us up to 12th in the Drivers' Championship, ahead of a couple of people you really wouldn't expect, like Lando Norris. You would definitely expect him to move ahead of us in the Drivers' Championship through the course of the season, along with Tsunoda and Gasly, and definitely Ocon. That Alpine is a much faster car than ours, and Magnussen's been really unlucky to be down in 19th, considering how well Mick Schumacher's done this season. So certainly we expect Magnussen to improve. But anyway, going to thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all future uploads, and get the next episode when it comes out in a couple of days' time, when we'll be taking on Miami. So thank you, guys. Have a great day. Goodbye.